All right, so now we're going to try and install use this ImGui into our app. So we're building it. We've built it with ImGui. We're linking to it. Now we just need to actually start using it. So first step is really just to start including it. So let's just include c imgui.h. Now, as I was explaining before, you can see here that these, let's actually just make a clean build. And let's go make. Oh, I think that's just because I included this here. Let me just do this again. Yeah, so you can see here, so these CMake is actually smart enough to detect that this is a C file, so it uses the C compiler, and this one also, the deps.c is using C compiler, but these other CPP files, C++ files, are using the CXX compiler, which is C++. All right, so let's include the CMI GUI, and we also need to include the Sokol library to sort of do the setup. So this is the Sokol sort of bindings to CMI GUI, and yeah, that looks okay. Now, just from experience from doing this before, there is there's sort of this header definition. Where is it? This one. So in here, they define this sort of CMI GUI define enums and structs. So that's sort of because we're using the C version, it sort of defines all these structs down here, these C structs. So I guess if you're doing C++, you obviously don't need to do that, but for whatever reason, we need to actually also define this variable here. So we define that. Okay, and it also says we need when we include this Sokol ImGui, we just need to include Sokol gfx.head.h. Okay, so let's just try and build that. That looks good. All right, now, yeah, let's try and like sort of initialize it, I guess. So we actually didn't actually set up anything in our init function, which is surprising. I actually thought that you actually needed to. Well, I guess we actually not do any graphics. So normally you'd set up once we set up our graphics library, but all we've done is really just set up the app, and you can see when we go make run, we get our window. So all we're doing at the moment, we've got a window, but we actually need like a graphics context first. So in the GFX library, there is this function, this setup function. Yeah, so-called setup. So we just sort of need to set up this function. So what we just need to do there is just call this function, this setup function, and we need to pass it a description. Okay, and it's a pointer to description, so we can just use I think they're called struct literals, but correct me if I'm wrong. And yeah, we need to put that in brackets. Yeah, and here we put the environment, and this is where we can use our glue file, which we haven't even included. Okay, I might have spelled that wrong. One, there we go. Yeah, so that just basically sort of binds, it sort of sets up the app, sort of grabs configuration from the app and sets it up into the so-called GFX setup. I don't actually know what it does, but it seems to work. And yeah, we don't really need to do this, but there is this logger. We can set this log function. And once again, we haven't included the logger Okay, and that looks pretty good. Okay. Um, all right. Now, yeah, so next step is if we sort of look through this, the Sokol ImGui library, we've sort of got set up all these build steps as we've been going. There's a few options there. You can actually define that prefix. I think we talked about that before, the IG prefix, but yeah, the default is IG, so we'll just stick with that. But yeah, how to initialize. So this is how to initialize the app here. So we just need this S Sokol ImGui setup function. So we just need to call that to initialize it. So we go back into our main and let's just paste that one in here. And we can just sort of inline this again as well. I've got these inline hints going on and I must admit they're a little bit annoying. I think I need to turn them off. So I don't know what this takes. Let's just make this 0 for a start. Okay, there's a few different options here. But yeah, hopefully we actually don't need to worry about that. We can just use the defaults. So yeah, let's just set that to 0. And yeah, and there's actually a cleanup function. So we probably should just put our cleanup function here as well. So we're sort of doing the reverse now. So we sort of set up the so-called graphics and then we set up ImGui and now we'll just sort of do it in reverse order. So we'll do the ImGui shutdown and yep, that's definitely a function. And we'll do the so-called graphics shutdown. Okay, and yeah, that's it. Let's just run that. Okay, that builds. Um, yeah, oh yeah, so now in our frame. Okay, that's right. So in our frame, there is in here, back as we were sort of following this, where were we? Sorry, I'm all over the place a bit here. So we're following this along. We ran our setup function, which is good. Heaps of different options there we can read. Yeah. Now at the start of a frame, we need to call this. Okay. So every frame we need to call this sort of this function. So here's our frame function here. Put that here. Just a bit of indenting. And yeah, like we just need to set these variables. So like here, the width, so we can actually get this from our app, our Sokol app. The height we can also get from our Sokol app. Delta time, we can actually also get that from our app, which is the frame duration. And yeah, there's one more we can also get, which is Sokol app DPI scale. So we basically get all these same things just from the app. So I don't know if it actually, oh yeah, I knew I got that from somewhere. So in this example here, it sort of explains here exactly what we need to do. And then, so yeah, we've just basically done this bit. And then now we need to just render it. I think there's another step. I'll just have another look. So we just render the frame. Um, Semicolon. We potentially need to set up a render pass with the so-called graphics, but I'm just going to run this and see if it works. It sort of works. Um, well, given that that worked, I thought I had to do a render pass, but maybe I don't. So maybe we just, yeah, it probably won't work, but let's just try it anyway. So let's draw something. Let's just create another little function here. Let's call GUI draw. I mean, we can just put it here, but I'm just going to put this in another function here. GUI draw. Main, yep. Okay. So I think the first thing we need to do is just create a window. Let's actually go back to our original plan and see if we can kind of maybe just draw this bit of text. I have no idea if it's going to work. Let's try it. Now, as I said at the start, this is in C++. So we're going to try and convert it to C. I mean, we could just compile this in C++, but I think it's more fun. So basically everything, this in C++, you have this namespace. C doesn't have namespaces, but like all that really means is you just don't need to put the two double dots, right? And then you've got a namespace. So, I mean, obviously you can do more with namespaces, but in this version, we're just using IG as our namespace, and then we can just call this function exactly the same. Hello. Well, yeah, instead of actually typing that out, I'm just going to actually put like that and replace this bit with IG. Yeah, and all that actually, that works. So let's just run that, see what happens. Oh yeah, so it did fail. Okay, kind of what I was kind of expecting actually. So it says you must call a render pass. Okay, so that's actually coming from Sokol. So I kind of expected that, so that's kind of good. So yeah, we actually need to set up a render pass. So I have done this in another video, the Sokol video. So yeah, what we actually done, we actually sort of need to, let's have a look. Yeah, we might actually set a background color first, I think. So let's have a go at that. So usually in these ones, we usually create a bit of a like a state variable as like a struct. So it's like the application state, and then we sort of create a like global application state, and we just sort of initialize it to 0. Um, don't know what's wrong there. That looks kind of good to me, but it's just a warning. Um, Actually, sorry, I'm just looking how I done it another time. I think, yeah, that's probably just simpler. We'll just do a static and we'll sort of not even name it. Yeah, it's still the same warning, but it's just a little bit simpler. It's basically we're defining a struct only once, so we're not going to ever create another struct. We've just got a single global state, and we're going to start putting some variables in here. So the this is sort of where we'd put our application state in a global sense. And yeah, we just want this SG pass action, and it's just a pass action. That's all we really need to do. And then down here, probably in our setup, where was our setup function? Oh, and our init function. Yeah, after we've kind of configured everything, we're just going to initialize this state and initialize the pass action to our sort of background color. So we want an SG pass action. And in the pass action, there's a color. So we're going to set, so you can actually see there's a an array of colors, and we're going to set the very first one, first action, to a color. And we're going to, there's a load action, and the load action is clear. Right, so we basically clear the background color, and then we actually set the clear value. So the clear value, and this will be just an RGB color, including an alpha. So let's just do red first. So maybe we go a fairly red color, and then we'll go blue, oh, green, sorry, red, green. Let's no green. Let's go no blue, and let's go full alpha. Yeah, that's not a semicolon, that's a comma. So we should get a red. Oh, we still got a panic. All right, not a panic. Yeah, I'm just going to comment out this text thing here for now. Oh, yeah, okay. So let's just set the global variable to the color. Okay, so all we've done really is like set our state variable to this like pass action. And then now in our frame function, we're going to create a pass action. So we're basically going to begin a pass action. So we go SG begin pass. So this is basically beginning the render pass. And in the render pass, we're just going to have a pass action, and the pass action is going to come from the state. So now we're just getting that state variable that we set before. And there's also this swap chain, which I believe sort of swaps the buffers. So we're going to use our glue function for that. Okay, and that's looking pretty good, I think. Yep. So we're basically beginning our render pass. So we sort of call these draw functions like in this like we call these ImGui functions that sort of perform all these actions. We begin a render pass, we render the ImGui, and then once that's done, we call SG, so Sokol graphics end pass. So that will finish our render pass. And then we actually got to commit that. Okay, so hopefully, there we go, there's our nice red. That's terribly ugly, but it was just a big flash to make sure it's working. So I'm going to just change that color to something a little bit more nicer. Let's just change it to all sixes. We'll get a nice sort of grey color. Yeah. I feel like we need maybe a little bit less. Oops. That's better. Kind of back to that nice grey color we had originally. But the main thing is here we're actually starting we're starting a render pass, and we're doing this swap action. And yeah, we probably didn't even need to set the color, but I just like to do that. And yeah, we've got our so-called our ImGui renderer. So now that that's working, let's try our text. Let's see if this works. I have no idea if it will. Oh, there you go. So there we go. And now we've got this, yeah, we've got this bit of text just rendering it there. It's not actually a window, so I can't actually grab it and move it, but yeah, it's actually rendering it, so that's pretty cool. So yeah, then, I mean, now we're kind of, yeah, done. So let's just try and, I might just comment this out, and let's just grab the example straight from there, from C++, and let's do a quick little bit of Vim magic where we highlight all the ImGui and replace that with IG globally, and oh, that didn't work. Ah, Sorry, I bugged up my Vim macro. My Vim, not macro. Substitution command. That's better. Okay. So we've got a few little issues here that we could probably try and fix. IG button takes a label and a size. So let's just pass it a ImVec, I think it was. Is that what it was? ImVec2. Um, I guess I just do it like this. What is an ImVec? Yeah, it's just two floats. So I guess this is a size. I don't know what size we want this. What have I done here? Oh, that's why this wasn't working, because I had the brackets. Yeah, I think I can inline this. I think I just want to inline this. On Vec2, there we go. So yeah, we're going to call a save function. There's my save function. It does nothing. I'm missing another bracket there. Okay. So let's just ignore those two for a start. Yeah, there's our button. It's about, yeah, it's a bit small, isn't it? I guess it's 10 by 10. So we probably want to go 50 by 30, 40. I don't know. Yeah, there we go. There's our save button. Cool. So we need a little buffer here to take in a string. So I guess we could probably just quickly create a static buffer. Buff. Let's just make it 512. And the size here is just 512. Yeah, you find with some of these functions using the C version that because in C++ you can have optional parameters, so you don't have to pass them all in. But in C, you sort of have to pass. They have to be fixed. They all have to be fixed. So the C++ version, like these last few options, are basically optional, whereas in the C version, you have to pass every single parameter. So you just pass a few zeros here. Maybe we need one more. There we go. And yeah, so we've got an input box there now. Let's just run that. Okay, there we go. So we've got an input box. I can't actually type. Oh, so we're not actually receiving any events. That's why we need to set up the events. So yeah, maybe we might just end that video there, and then we'll come back in the next one and we'll fix up the events and do the last little bit. So all right, I'll see you in the next one.